I thought maybe it would be interesting because I have to go to the Cancer Institute tomorrow to visit the lab, which means I need to prep Miles for an outing because the last time I took Miles out, I haven't charged him since then. So this is Miles here, and just need to get him ready. So I'll show you what is involved. We're not going to pay attention to the messiness and clutteriness of my room, but that's where Miles lives. So, and let's maybe, hey Google, set the lights to daylight. Okay, I love some mood lighting, but it's a bit easier to see Miles. So this is Miles. If you haven't met him before, he's kind of shoved into the window and whatever at the moment, but he is an all-terrain wheelchair, power wheelchair. He's got some extra large tires with good tread, and that makes it easy to go on like even gravel and grass and those kind of things that are basically impossible in a regular wheelchair. He's got a seatbelt. He does go 6 kilometers an hour in top gear, and he does actually have, gears or power levels. It's fully electric. And like any electric vehicle, he's got a lot of startup power. So these safety wheels on the back are to prevent, these bottom wheels are to prevent wheelies essentially from tipping too far back. And then there's actually two of them because when transporting him, he can stand right up and then, he rolls around on these little four wheels. So all in all, he's about 26 kilograms. He does separate. So the top chair section actually separates from the base, each piece being about 13 kilograms, and that makes him very portable. He can fit in very small car trunks and that kind of stuff. But he does have a quick release on the back, and the whole thing just like folds down flat, kind of like a baby stroller. So even fully put together, he's kind of like a big suitcase and pretty easy to get into most vehicles. He's got some safety markings on him because sometimes I do have to ride in the street when the sidewalks of Budapest just are horrible. Actually, the sidewalks on my own street are horrible, and the city puts signposts right in the middle of a sidewalk that no wheelchair can fit around without falling off the edge into the street. So I do have to ride in the street. Underneath in a little pocket there are tail lights and headlights that clip on for even more safety, and they strobe and all kinds of stuff, but typically I don't need to use them. He's got two modes. So right now he's in manual mode, and that means that he can push, back and forth, or somebody could actually push me. He's a little bit heavier than a regular wheelchair, but not too bad. And these levers flip up, and then he goes into full electric mode, and he's got electric magnetic brakes. So in the house, we just keep him on manual because I don't drive him around in the house because he can be very fast. I say he a lot. I named it Miles. Pretty much anything that is a part of my daily life gets a name, and at least in my mind, a personality. And of course, all my friends know him by name. He's got two 350-watt motors, twin motors. So each wheel has its own motor. And that's how the steering is managed, is just the differential between those two motors. And that means that he can do 6 kilometers an hour, roughly. He can go up hills quite easily, different terrains quite easily. Wheelchair ramps, not a problem. So having that power has been, really important. I have a standard wheelchair as well. And in some cases, it's useful, particularly if it's going to be, rainy, or, just a circumstance that Miles isn't going to be the best choice for. And So, for example, like going to a beach or something, I don't, want to spend hours cleaning the sand out of them. So, I do have a regular wheelchair. I don't right now have the upper body strength because of my damaged core from the surgeries. And also, right now, I have a sore shoulder from, pulled muscles or something. So I don't have the upper body strength to push myself around in a wheelchair. And even though I'm quite light my body is quite light, I'm only about 140 pounds right now. It's a lot for somebody to push around, all day. And quite honestly, I don't typically have somebody to push me around. That, involves somebody coming over and picking me up and whatever. So that's not part of my everyday. So Miles has been really important just for my own independence and being able to get on a bus and go somewhere and whatever. The buses here in Budapest do, I think 98% is the last number I saw on the transit website. 98% of the buses have wheelchair ramps in them. So I can just roll on and there's a wheelchair space in the center of the bus. What else? These little wedges are mostly just to keep me stable in the chair, again, because of the weakened core strength. In something like a bus, I can kind of shake back and forth, and my muscles just get very sore from that. So these just kind of stabilize me, you know, horizontally, I guess, left to right. I also have a harness that is buried by clothes at the moment, but I have this harness that I can wear. It's a, hard harness. And so I'll wear that tomorrow along with the wedges. And then, when I get on the bus, any shaking around, my body will still be pretty well stabilized. There's also this 5-point harness that keeps me pretty well belted in and just kind of immobilizes me in the chair and steadies me. So, a couple of things, and actually, tomorrow I won't be on the bus because the forecast is for rain and thunderstorms, and Miles is not waterproof. So, and neither am I, honestly. So, going out in the rain, particularly having to go down to the bus stop, wait at the bus stop, going to a doctor's appointment soaking wet just isn't ideal. So, tomorrow, likely I will use a taxi van, which makes it easy to just load him in the back. We get to the institute, I can unload him and, not have any issues at that point. So, two main things that I need to prep. One is to make sure that his battery is topped off. So, he's got this little plug. It looks like a microphone cable, which is kind of funny. And so he's got two batteries and two motors. So the nice thing about the two batteries is combined, I can get about 50 kilometers or so, which I've never done in a single day, but they have incredible range. It is not a dual system in the sense that they're both connected at the same time. So basically, I, run on one and then have this cable that just switches quite easily between the two batteries, and then I can switch over. Each battery, if it's, really drained, can take about 4 to 6 hours to recharge. So it's not too bad. And as long as I plug him in, the night before or something, then he's typically fine. So that plugs in, and then over here I see a little red charging light. And once that goes green, then I know he's ready to go. So I'm just going to plug it in actually on this side because I don't remember which batteries got used the last time. So this one's green, which is good. It means it's fully charged. And if I really needed to, leave in a hurry, then I could just switch over to this battery on the right and know that I've got a full charge. And it's, like I said, I've never, I think once in all of the time I've had him when my family was here and we were really, traveling around the city, seeing things that I had to switch midday between batteries. But usually I just switch occasionally to make sure both batteries get, fairly used kind of thing. So I have learned that this little light is quite bright at night if I don't just flip this over and face it down. So he'll charge overnight. And then the other category is this backpack. Oh, let me get up. So, obviously medical supplies. There are some essentials that I just have to have with me at all times. And one of those is insulin. I have a supply bag here. These are some sickness packs, bandages that I'm not allergic to because, like the medical tapes and stuff from IVs, I'm very allergic to those. So these are safe for me. And I actually, last time I went out, I went out with a backpack. So these are new. They're a little bit larger. And I used to use 6x7s. And these are big enough to cover, I can't turn my head down enough anyway, but in my chest, just under my collarbone, I have a portacath, and that's used for my treatments and any kind of medications that I get by IV. So these are large enough to cover that. I'm not allergic to these. And so when I go for a treatment, rather than relying on their bandages and stuff, I show up with these, and they're happy to use these instead. And of course, the ladies there know me quite well now and know that I'm coming with my own bandages. So actually, I'm just going to unpack this group of 5. I don't need all of these at once. And I'll put them with this guy. And on Thursday, I won't have to think about it. I'll just have them. I also have masks. I am compromised. It's not a guarantee to be part of immunotherapy, but every month, great, I messed it up. Every month, one of the things that they check are my white blood count and some other things. And mine have typically been low, which can be a side effect of the immunotherapy. So right now, it's low enough that I need to just use a little protection, stay away from germy people. There's some other stuff in here. I get I get frequent nosebleeds. So these are for that. There's some anti-nausea medication, very common for anybody on cancer treatments and whatnot. So this is just a little, I call it the forgot bag, because most of this stuff I usually take with me anyway. But this is just, if I forget to put on a mask on the way out, then I've got it with me. I've got a cane in here as well. I typically bring, and it's a collapsible cane. I typically bring this when I'm using the wheelchair in case there's any reason that I need to get up and walk, which sometimes there is. So this just flips out, locks, and then it's, actually really sturdy. Sometimes, if I go somewhere and there's stairs to go into a shop or something like that, in fact, most places here are not wheelchair accessible, then I may leave Miles, outside and grab the cane and go in that way. So that comes with us. I also, in many cases, if, for example, I'm going out with friends to a restaurant and taking a taxi or a car, then I've got crutches that I can use instead of the wheelchair, because obviously I can walk. It's not a matter of being able to walk. It's a matter of how far and how long I can walk and be on my feet. And dealing with just moderate anemia. It's not horrible, but it's enough that if I'm, really doing some walking, I'll feel the effect of it. So anyway, cane and these supplies. I have Walter's backpack. I got this in California at the California Science Center with some friends. So it's a happy memory, but it perfectly fits Walter. So it's Walter's backpack. But in here here's some coins. In Hungary, it's very common that you have to pay to go into a bathroom. So that's what the coins are for. The guitar pick, I do have a guitar, but this is actually for when I'm wearing a glucose sensor on my belly. If I need to go into a CT or an MRI scan, I have to pop that off. The transmitter piece has some metal in it, so I have to pop that off. The guitar pick makes that super handy. And then after the scan, I just pop it back on without having to remove the whole plastic part of the sensor that has the needle that goes into my body. And then in here, I've got my passport, I've got my health card, my residency card, and, other stuff. So Walter's backpack keeps that safe for me. In the morning, I'll put my insulin in this pocket as well. I always take, that's a receipt. I always take a diaper with me. It's a part of my life now to need those. And actually, it has been for a long time. That's not an effect of cancer, but of the cerebral palsy and other issues that my body had even before cancer. So take one of those. I've got a juice, and I will check. Yeah, 2027. So this is good for quite a while. This is in case I need to rescue my blood sugar. So it's not just a snack, it's actually medicine. And I'll put that actually in this pocket. Wipes, always handy. And let's just make sure that I'm not leaving anything else in here that I might need. Oh yeah, keys. So the keys, I will come looking for those in the morning so they can go back in their usual spot. Got hooked on the door. And then all of these I had to take off during the PET scan, and I just haven't put them back on. There should be one more. There we go. This one is actually the medic alert. On the back is a QR code that I won't show in the video because I don't need people seeing my medical records. But a paramedic can scan the QR code on the other side, and it will give all of the medical records, emergency contacts, all that kind of stuff. So I'll put these back on tonight. It's actually kind of a challenge for me because my vision is so poor that I can't really see the clasps. And then, of course, for any human, doing it by yourself is a challenge, but this one doesn't have a clasp, so that can go on. Yeah, so cane, change, juice, medical supplies, insulin gets packed in the morning. Very important to have the ID cards and stuff with me in Walter's bag. There's Kevin, by the way. It's not really doing his job at the moment. Come here, buddy. There you go. His job is to hold the door. Yeah, over here, this is the paperwork actually for the lab tomorrow. So don't need this one until Thursday. This is my insulin carrier there. So tomorrow I'm getting all of these. And then also the most interesting ones are the tumor markers and thyroid markers as well. So that will go in there. And I think that's it. Insulin's the only thing that needs to go in. I might throw in a banana or apple or something in the morning as well. It is a fasting blood test, or it's supposed to be because they take my A1C, but also There's not a doctor on my team at the Institute for diabetes, so it's kind of pointless. And that's the only test that requires fasting. So, in the morning, if my blood sugar's low, I eat, and nobody cares. It's not an important enough number compared to all the numbers dealing with cancer. The diabetes numbers just aren't the main concern. So that's Miles. He's, as soon as he charges up or if I switch batteries, he's ready to go. And so he'll go with me tomorrow.